You're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform. And here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first. Okay, so this issue has taken too much of our time. So all of you asking for something extra to be done about it, I'm sorry, we can't continue. Okay. And Kojo succeeded in saying I shouldn't be hosting, and some of you are saying so. But I asked him the question when it was Samuel Kujeto. I was hosting here, and Kojo was producing me. Whatever happens, a Joy FM person will host the show.
That's right.
Anyway, okay, so let's get to AFCON. I'll read some of your messages. Sorry, we'll read some of them. Let's go to AFCON and why all the hue and cry about particularly the budgets. You were asking for information, like right to information law. And the minister comes, gives you the information, and suddenly all hell breaks loose. Why? What is the problem? Okay, so let's listen to Mr. Siama, the sports minister, Mr. Kwabna Woyemi, ranking member, youth and sports. Samuel Kujeto also spoke, but because he's here, we will not play his voice. Let's listen to the two people before.
$6,365,033.84 was approved for the tournament comprising training tour, main tournament, and related activities. Now, the actual expenditure, Mr. Speaker, emphasis actual expenditure, Mr. Speaker, an amount of $4,564,352 was expended from the training tour to the time Ghana exited from the main tournament. Mr. Speaker, now the breakdown, and here the details. Airfare, $924,168. Per diem for players, $187,050. Per diem for technical staff, $129,600. Per diem for additional technical staff, $90,750. Winning bonus for players, $95,405. Winning bonus for technical team, $347,207. Winning bonus for additional technical team, $177,000. That's $177,000. Accommodation, and here includes pre-tournament camping, and of course camping facilities. Also for the playing body, and of course the main tournament itself for members of the GFA, some who were there, old players who were there, some of them Ghana Supporters Union, ministry officials, journalists, and of course members of Parliament. And that amount is $1,143,509. Medicals across board, $44,574. Visa fees, $8,541. Internal transportation, $43,092. Incidentals, $42,057. So total is, as I said, 4,563,50. I repeat, 4,563,50. $4,406,000. So the difference here of $635 million and $464 million will return to government chest. That's a difference of $1,079 will return to government chest. That is the difference.
What was presented to us today, apparently, to them, because we're also hearing other figures, that that was what was spent. And so we will do a further work in terms of oversight, and possibly by the close of the week, we'll come up with what we think are findings also. The worry is how items have been lumped up together. We would want to know the breakdown of the figures as was called by myself and then the other contributors, so that we can then situate in terms of what the minister himself actually stated, that he is for 3 things, and one of which is value for money, and then we all then can speak to it. We want these figures at least breakdown for us to then understand, you know, what went into, for instance, the players, what went into those itemized line items. Those line items, about 6 of them. We would want to find out, you know, what's by way of programs that have been outlined to be implemented, the figures associated with those programs and all that. That is what we do.
Right, you're welcome back. So let me quickly speak to one of the guys who is very fluent in this on this matter, and as far as the matters of sports are concerned, Gary Al Smith. Gary, I've heard you on this issue, and you speak to it in a manner that's so intriguing and yet baffling. What do we make of what the minister presented, the expenditure?
Well, thank you for having me. First of all,
Okay, have I lost Gary on the line? Hello? Okay, so Gary is out of the country. We are talking to him, and I suppose he's out of the country, right? Okay, so but we'll raise him again, and try and, you know, deal with that issue. But first, Randy. Okay, Gary's back. Hi, Gary.
Yes.
Sorry, we lost you. Yep.
Yeah, so I was saying that the minister put out the budget because, you know, of a reaction that came from Ghanaians, really, to how the Black Stars came out of the African Cup of Nations, and the problem of having the team go and spend so much money, and people generally want to have an accountable system of the way the Black Stars, you know, are financed, and so on and so forth. And so basically, the background is that before they had gone for the Cup of Nations, you might have recalled that there was a huge hue and cry about, so how much are we taking there? People just wanted to know, you know, so that when they came, they could also say that, all right, how much have we spent? And then we moved on with our lives. But because the budget had not been forthcoming before the team went for the tournament, this is why he gave the statement. As to the details, I think that the general reaction was one of disappointment because, you know, I mean, it was too general, if you like. I mean, we didn't get enough specifics on a lot of things that were enumerated in there. And I heard you say in your introduction, the line items were a bit nebulous. That is the word I've chosen to use. You know, they were quite grand and all-encompassing. And when you add 1 and 2, you are getting 4, you know, that sort of thing. So I think that the general reaction was one of disappointment, Samson.
Okay. So you say the $6.3 million budget, $1 million. Is it a budget? No, it's an expenditure. Okay. Covered 9 categories of people. But the actual breakdown mentioned expenses incurred for only the players and technical team.
Yes.
Why should we be concerned about that?
First of all, the 6.3 million is the budget, and then the 4.5 is the expenditure.
Right.
Just to make that clear. So the preface of the minister's presentation, if you looked at it, suggested or said, actually, it didn't suggest, it said in plain terms that it covered the players, the technical team, members of the Ghana Football Association, members of the sports ministry, you know, some officials of the Ghana Football Association, some of the officials of the sports ministry, Ghana League Clubs Association, retired players, coaches, you know, and so on and so forth. There were 9 categories in all. So if this amount was spent on them, it was quite interesting and intriguing that all we saw on that itemized sheet were things relating to winning bonus for players, winning bonus for technical team, this for players, this for technical team, and so on and so forth. So that is one of the key questions that we need to ask. Okay. And let me just chip in that, I mean, as you may have mentioned or not, the Joy Sports team is putting together a petition to the ministry to that effect, because we think that the right thing should be done, and also not just for ourselves, really, but for posterity, because unfortunately, a lot of the things that we saw happen in Egypt could have easily been avoided if we had followed some of the lessons of the past, notably the lessons of Brazil 2014 and the subsequent Jamefe Commission.
So what are you seeking in this petition? That he has explained expenditure for 2 categories and he's left with 7 more to explain. He should just explain that. Is that all?
You said he just explained that?
He's explained the expenditure for 2 of the 9 categories.
Yes.
You want, through this petition, to have explanation for the 7 others unaccounted for. Is that the case?
Yeah, that is just one of the 10 questions we have. I mean, we would treat it into detail on the Joy Sports link right after your show. But essentially, just to give a broad strokes of what we want, it is to get specifics for everything that was named in there. Because on the basis of, I was in Egypt. Several of our colleagues were in Egypt as well.
Okay.
On the basis of what we know, what we have heard, and what we have experienced with African Cup of Nations, we know that certain things went on, certain bills were paid that were not mentioned in the budget. Case in point, we know that the team usually gets appearance fees, but nobody has spoken about it, So once we have put out these questions, and hopefully we can get the Sports Ministry's PRO on the Joy Sports link, he can give us some answers. Because between yourself and myself, well, it's not between you and yourself and myself, is it? Because we are on national television. We do know that appearance fees were paid. Nobody has spoken about it. But once we question, we will try to do our journalistic duty to let people know that some of these fees were paid, and we will want to know why they weren't mentioned. If they were mentioned, how much, where did the money come from? Because, as you may know, the entire budget for the entire sports ministry, for the year 2019, and I'm talking about all the sports disciplines in Ghana, was 43 to 44 million Ghana cedis.
You mean youth and sports?
Thank you, youth and sport. I sometimes forget that. Youth and sports. The Black Stars budget alone was $6.3 million, which is an equivalent of 79% of that 43 million Ghana cedis. So the big question is that, one, did we really use all that money from the sports ministry allocation? The information we have suggests that it is not. But we want to hear from the minister himself to tell us that the money was got from so and so fund. Some sources have said that it was from the consolidated fund. If it is so, just tell us, You
are also curious about this development that Ghana won just 1 game, but paid winning bonuses of over 965,000 for the players. So you want to know whether this means that each player got about $42,000.
Yes,
and you are concerned also because
it's instructive to note that past regimes have tried to explain. Of course, the more infamous one was the Kwesi Nyantakyi attempted explanation, which brought out the term coefficient, and honorarium and so on and so forth. That became part of the lingo of Ghana football over the past 4 years. So if there were things like that, we would like to know how they were shared.
Is 42,000 too much?
Oh, it is an absurd. It is not too much. It is absurd.
Why?
If it is 42,000, it's absurd. You are giving winning bonuses of 42,000 at the group stage. Something. We are talking about Senegal, who were even in the final. Even they were given a presidential gift of $34,000. They had gotten to the final. Even they.
Don't we have predetermined figures for paying bonuses?
That's the point. So, the interesting thing is that because we are talking about Mr. Isaac Esiama here, there is history to back up some of the claims. In one of our questions, actually, we asked that this same Mr. Isaac Esiama was able to negotiate in his own words, and the tapes are available, with the Black Stars team. You know what? In the last African Cup of Nations, you know how much he told us he was able to let them take, because of the economic situation, $5,000 for a winning bonus. So if only 2 years ago he was able to persuade the same players to take $5,000, how in God's name is it possible that they took, for example, assuming that this is what we we know based on the simple mathematics that we make that it took $42,000 or something other than that.
Okay.
It is quite irresponsible on our part, you know, and it's also very disappointing about some of our colleagues. I have to mention this as well, that some of our colleagues who used to champion some of these causes over the past few years have become incredibly silent because we do know that the government flew some journalists there. And it's incredibly disappointing that my own colleague, Dan Kwekwe, who there's a tape going around of he and myself, you know, as it were, against Ibrahim Sani Dara in 2014 on GTV, you know, where we were going hard at Ibrahim Sani to let us know what the budget for the 2014 World Cup was. And Ibrahim Sani said it was a state secret, you know. And it's incredibly disappointing that Dan Kwekwe is on the other side and he's unable to say some of these things. Some of the more renowned journalists of our country are also unable to say this because ostensibly the state was able to choose certain journalists and take them, refresh them, and house them in Egypt. It is not on.
All right.
You know, and if we continue this culture, something, I fear that every 2 years we are going to get there.
Let's hope for some good results. Some good results from the petition that the Joy Sports team is putting together, and that's Gary Al Smith, international sports journalist. He's with the Joy Sports team. And Randy, so if I may narrow down what Gary, you know, the concerns he expressed, the entire sports ministry budget for 2019 is 43 million Ghana cedis. The AFCON budget alone was 6.3 million. That's 34 million. That's like 79% of all of that. Is that rare? Is that rare?
All right, Samson, thank you very much. And I have a preliminary issue on this one.
Yes, preliminary.
You know, and it is to Gary and the Joy team.
Okay.
If I heard him say that they're sending the petition to the Ministry of Youth and Sports, I advise that he sends it elsewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, he sends it elsewhere. Because it's the Ministry of Youth and Sports that's provided this information. Now, to your question, I'm also happy that there are 2 members of Parliament here.
But elsewhere, where specifically?
Not thought about it yet, but not there.
Okay.
Yes.
Gary will certainly call you.
And when I finish with my presentation, you might appreciate why I'm saying that. I'm also happy that we have 2 members of Parliament here. Because in all of this, I think that Parliament is failed in its oversight responsibility. And it's not just in respect of this, but in previous ones, leading up to this one. You know, and you showed a video of the ranking member, you know, asking for breakdown, asking for this. Look, the horse has bolted, and we now want to go and lock up the stable. That's what we're doing. Now, if you permit me, I'll just start by referring to some 2 issues, and then I'll get to this. This is my Joy Online, JoyNews. NPP rejects sports minister's shoddy, dishonest AFCON 2015 budget. Says the minority in Parliament has voiced their displeasure that government, without parliamentary scrutiny, spent 17.9 million cedis on the Black Stars during the recent AFCON 2015 tournament in Equatorial Guinea. Now listen to this carefully. Spokesperson on Youth and Sports, Isaac Kwame Esiama, told Joy News that the sports minister, Mahama Yariga, quote, exhibited complete incompetence and ignorance, end of quote, about proper financial administration. Isaac Kwame Esiama is the current minister.
Sure.
Okay. After weeks of public speculations, the sports ministry has eventually revealed that government approved about 17.9 million cedis to fund Ghana's participation in the AFCON 2015 event in Equatorial Guinea. Sports Minister Mahama Yariga revealed the figures while taking questions on the floor of Parliament on Wednesday. The minister had expressed unwillingness to reveal details of the budget before the tournament. This is 2015. However, his delivery has come under scrutiny after the minority rejected a budget they described as half budget. NPP MP for Extreme Punia, Isaac Kwame Esiama, says, quote, it lacks the spirit of sound financial governance. It is shoddy work because the minister did not indicate income and expenditure. This is the current minister speaking. He feels Parliament is being taken for a ride by the attitude of the minister, whom he deemed disrespectful. The MPP spokesperson revealed that on the 18th of December, the minority had asked, this tournament was played in January. So he revealed that on the 18th of December, that's before the tournament, the minority had asked for the proposed expenditure earmarked for the games. Parliament, he said, had been assured they would be provided details of the budget before the January 17 tournament, but this never happened. Then the same Honorable Isaac Kwame Siama, on July 4, 2014, said this, quote, as Ghanaians, we want answers as to how many public servants used state funds. This is after Brazil. The first one I read was after Equatorial Guinea, AFCON 2015. This is after Brazil, on the 4th of July 2014. Quote, as Ghanaians, we want answers as to how many public servants use state funds to go to Brazil. How much in total was spent on each supporter? How many officials government sponsored to Brazil? How much government spent on the so-called ambassadors? Why the government failed to pay the appearance fees before the departure as promised? How much the government gave to each supporter for accommodation and meals per day while in Brazil? And how much it cost the nation to airlift $3 million cash to Brazil? He was then minority spokesperson for youth and sports. Now, something I was here with you when the government took the case to court to dissolve the GFA. You heard the words that were used to describe the GFA. The issue of lack of transparency and all those things. Now, this is the sports minister today. This is what he presented to Parliament. The same person who described Mahama Yariga, he says what? Mahama Yariga exhibited complete incompetence and ignorance about proper financial administration. I don't know what he has exhibited in view of what he has just sent in there. And he called that one a half budget. Now, why I raise the issue of Parliament is that, once again, he complains that then as minority, they were asking for the budget. They were assured that it would be presented before the tournament. It wasn't done. Now he has the opportunity of becoming the minister. The same things that he complained about, he is perpetuating them. Same thing. And now you have the minority also complaining. So Parliament that is supposed to have oversight over the executive, Parliament that is supposed to act on our behalf, a budget is presented. This issue of the 79% of the Ministry of Youth and Sports budget and all that. The budget for 2019 was presented to Parliament. And that budget will include Ghana's participation in AFCON. So how much was earmarked for Ghana's participation? And if there's a variation to that, what are the processes? But once again, Parliament allow them. And you have leadership in Parliament actually supporting. The budget of the Office of the President is brought to Parliament. The budget of the Ministry of Defense is brought to Parliament, even national security. But over the years, we have allowed this. And I'm saying that fortunately for us, the current minister was the minority spokesperson on youth and sports. This is what he had to say after Brazil. This is what he had to say after Equatorial Guinea 2015. These were the words he used to describe. Now, something. I have seen what he sent to Parliament. I am convinced beyond reasonable doubt that they are of dubious validity. And I will seek to prove that, if you allow me.
Do that quickly.
Okay. Now, first of all, Gary has made a point about the minister telling us about 9 different groups that they spent money on. Yet, in the breakdown, it gives us breakdown for only 3. It's not 2, 3.
Okay.
It gives us the playing body, technical staff, and additional technical staff.
Okay.
You get it? Okay. Now, allowances or per diem, however they call it, was paid to those other people. That is not captured here. So the 4-point-something cannot be the actual figure spent. Because we have heard people from the football fraternity who have confirmed on your station, Asempa, that they were giving $1,000 each. There are journalists who've confirmed that they were giving $500 each. There are supporters who've confirmed that they were giving $400 and some said they were giving a top-up. How has that been accounted for here? It is not here. So how could a minister, on the basis of this calculation, say that This is the actual that was spent. Now, you raise the issue of the bonuses paid to players. That if you divide it by 23 players, it comes to 42,000. The qualification bonus that was paid to players for qualify, it's called a qualification bonus.
Right.
He even mistitled it. And it's a qualification bonus. So sometimes when you say the one match, it's a bit erroneous.
Okay.
If I can explain it. Okay. Now, in 2006, when we went to the Nations Cup, you realize that when we were booted out in the first round, we won one match, but we didn't qualify. Yet we paid a bonus for that one match. So there was a need to rethink the whole thing. That look, you pay bonuses for success. Now, the objective in playing in the group is to qualify out of the group. So it is possible to even draw 3 matches and qualify. Now, technically speaking, the team could not have won any match, but they would have achieved the rationale, the objective, which is to qualify. Would you say that because they didn't win a single match, they should not be paid a bonus? And if they won one match and did not qualify, will it make sense that you pay a bonus when the objective has not been achieved? So the issue is that since the objective is to qualify out of the group, by any way you qualify, whether you win 3 games, 2 games and a draw, 3 draws or whatever, you should be paid the qualification bonus. So that explains that. Okay. And that's just for the group stage.
Okay.
Now, for the group stage in Egypt, we paid $30,000 each to each player. It was paid in cedis. Checks were issued to them in Ghana. That's how much we paid.
But Gary was saying that this minister had negotiated in 2017 to get the bonuses to be paid, or that's different, winning bonuses.
No.
At $5,000.
No, that was for the 2017 tournament.
Okay.
But I'm saying for this tournament, what they paid, if you look at the figure given, divided by 23 players, suggests that each player was paid 42,000. What was paid the players for the qualification was the cedi equivalent of 30,000 US dollars. That's what was paid them. And those checks were given to them or their representatives here in Ghana. Now, they played 2 friendly matches. For those 2 friendly matches, they were paid 35,700 Ghana cedis. Those checks were paid in Ghana. Whilst they were in Dubai, the appearance fee that Gary raises, which does not appear anywhere in the minister's presentation. Samson, I submit to you that the players and officials were paid $20,000 each as appearance fee. It is not here. That money was paid to them in Dubai. So appearance fee was paid. $20,000 each. It's not here. What was paid for the qualification was $30,000 cedi equivalent here. And another 35,700 cedis. Checks were picked by their representatives here in Ghana. That's what happened. Okay. If you look at the one for the officials as well, even the additional technical team, they were not paid winning bonuses. They had specific contracts, say a scout. We are taking you to go and scout so and so. You'll be paid $5,000 or $10,000. You'll take care of your accommodation and your meals, and then you'll be given a per diem. They were not paid winning bonuses.
Okay.
So they had like specific contracts for a specific period and how much they were going to be paid.
Okay.
So this thing, based on all the things I've said, is of dubious validity. It doesn't add up.
So number one, Randy is very clear that you, the MPs, you are disappointing us as citizens in representing us in the manner you have allowed some of these things to happen. You may be in minority, so you say we too, you speak like Esiama when he was also in the minority. We complain, but we don't get. But is this the best you guys can do for us? Same question for Kojo.
Let me go to my standing orders. The minister came to the House under Order 72. That's the announcement the Right Honourable Speaker made. And on Order 72 reads, a Minister of State may make an announcement or a statement of government policy. Any such announcement or statement should be limited to facts which it is deemed necessary to make known to the House and should not be designed to provoke debate at this stage. Any member may comment briefly, subject to the same limitation. So the minister came under this order. And under Order 72, you cannot delve into details. The minister cannot also provoke debate and all of that. So you notice that our subsequent comments were very guided, else you will be ruled out of order. Now, what I had expected was that following from the discussions, it was clear, I mean, and I said it during my contribution, that the minister's statement, there was so much that had not been explored. We had so many questions. We do not, for example, even know how many supporters were sent to Egypt. We are hearing of procurement breaches, a company called White Oak and all of that. I raised all of these matters that have not been addressed. We don't have breakdown. If you tell us additional technical staff, who are they? Why should we have an additional technical staff from the... So I expected that the speaker...
Has he not assured that he will provide the details?
I expected that the speaker in his ruling, or after the whole presentation and the limited discussions as the standing order requires, there should have been a subsequent order or consequential orders, as we call it, to either the sports committee or for a further inquiry to be made. So I will concede that clearly there are shortfalls, and even we as members of parliament would not say that we are satisfied about how this matter has been addressed. And we are going to push, but I just wanted to explain that because of how the minister came under Order 72, you can't do much.
No, that's not even my point.
Terms of the interrogation.
Before and after.
It's how over the years,
before,
you have allowed the Ministry of Youth and Sports to go and spend before they come and tell you, because I don't even know why we're talking about a budget when you've gone to spend the
it's an expenditure.
I'll come to that. So,
and I read Siama lamenting about 2015.
Fair point. Parliament will have to sit up, and I will concede that we can do better in terms of oversight.
So particularly the minority, you are failing your constituents and the citizens at large, as far as this matter is concerned.
You see, again, I will go back to the constitutional arrangement. The records will show that we made similar demands. I mean, the Honorable Kobi Woyome, the Honorable Minority Leader, Mr. Haruna Idrisu, I mean, week after week, we demanded the budget before the tournament. It did not come. After, I recall as recent as 2 weeks ago, the Honorable Ras Mubarak demanding details on the expenditure. So I will concede that Parliament has not been up and doing, but it's because of the constitutional
arrangement. Nkrumah is working on the implementation of the Right to Information Act. Maybe it will benefit you guys too.
The overbearance of the executive, you know, where the executive is just simply too strong, and really this hybrid system. I mean, earlier in the week I was at the CDD event, and I did lament.
That's why you said they should increase the MP's common fund.
No, what I said was that it should be scrapped. We don't need the MP's common fund. That it is contributing to that perception that a member of parliament is for development.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm sure you agree with me. You know,
Randy is pointing us to lessons and failures, and I can see that you have the Jamafe Committee, you know, report with you. What do you want to draw our attention to?
Samson, when you read the Jamafe Commission report, again, it becomes evident that this country is not learning lessons. All the things, virtually all the things that the Jamafe Commission said we shouldn't do.
That you, the political leaders, are failing us, or that this country is not learning lessons. Don't generalize and bring everybody in. When it is journalists, you separate us, so we too will separate you.
I must concede. I must concede on that. I have here the white paper on supporters, for example. The white paper which was issued on the 1st of June 2015 under the seal of President John Dramani Mahama. Says government also accepts the following recommendations of the commission.
Right.
1, in the present state of multiple supporters groups, supporters must seek their own sponsorship to participate in tournaments, and the state should, as a matter of policy, not directly employ public or state funds to airlift, accommodate, and feed supporters. 2, where the government deems it necessary to sponsor supporters, there should be a clear policy and criteria for selection of supporters to attend such tournaments, to ensure transparency in the selection on the premise that the various supporters groups should come together to form a single national group.
But even the first point, did you need a German Fair committee to commission to say this? Because this country, we have made this point over and again. What is government business in mobilizing a group of people and paying them money, accommodation and everything per diem to go and support the teams?
Brilliant point.
It's a practice in Africa.
So it's a practice in Africa.
In Africa, yes.
So you come back to the minister's budget to Parliament and supporters. We know we're hearing figures of about 500, 600. We hear that they initially received $400 when they arrived, and then subsequently received another $400, so about $800 per supporter. All of that is not here. So I agree with Randy Abe, who is the expert on these matters, that this budget presented to Parliament is
sorry, just one second. Randy, what do we know about the criteria for selecting supporters? Who is a supporter?
Well, what I know is that, you know, the two options the German Fair Commission gave. One was that don't do it at all. The second one was that put them together.
I think that was
supporters groups.
That appears to be what has been done now.
In this case.
But that they now go as Ghana Supporters Union.
But the selection should be
in terms of
transparent.
the transparency of the criteria, the selection criteria and all that, we don't have information.
Okay.
Maybe exists, but we don't.
All right. So what other lessons?
The other lesson, page 146 of the report.
We need to repeat them even though we don't see
this time I'm reading from the report itself, page 146, on Africa Cup of Nations tournament. CAF sponsors national team contingent of 30 persons to the AFCON tournament. CAF, the controlling body of African football, in its wisdom, has been able to determine the number of players and other support persons, taking into consideration the availability of funds. The contingent of 30 takes care of the following category. That's players, number 23, coaches, 2, management or technical support, 5. Where the tournament is to be hosted outside Ghana, additional support staff of 5 should be included and sponsored to include the following: players, 23, coaches, 2, management, 5, technical support, 5. The constitution of management and technical support should be as defined in this report. We violated this. We breached this. So this additional technical staff. Additional technical staff.
Randy says this particular recommendation by the German Fair Commission of Inquiry is not practical.
But the German Fair Commission invited all the experts. They took evidence from GFA, the National Sports Authority.
No, the only point I'm making is that it is not practical. But you see, they make reference to what CAF provides.
Yes.
But you realize that when it gets to
FIFA, then they added 5.
When it gets to FIFA, the number increases.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a separate. The German Fair Commission makes a separate recommendation for FIFA.
So Kojo, how are you feeling on your oversight duties for your constituents as far as matters like this are concerned?
Quick comment on this commission report, and I think it's important we make the point quite clearly that these are recommendations. In fact, even the government of the day has the right to disagree with it. That's why you find a government, white paper. So it's not as though the recommendations in the are the views of the review bench of the Supreme Court. It's not. And as is rightly being mentioned by Randy, there are some parts of it that even those who are experts, as Sami rightly says, will disagree with. But I think the bigger issue here is what Randy raised earlier, that how are we bringing as much transparency to this sports-related accounting as possible. Quite recently, when this Drop the Chamber campaign started and people were expressing their views of Parliament, I wasn't surprised, but I was disappointed because it is obvious that we have not done enough to let the people who we represent understand that we are really doing a good job in their interest in the chamber and at the committee levels. And that is why you find people come up with all the various levels of vitriol, etc., when it comes to MPs or things that are related to MPs. And it's because in a matter like this, yes, the committee, and I don't think even the Speaker has to worry giving consequential orders, though he can. 72, under which he came, allows him to make a statement, which I'll commend, that he was proactive. He came there to make a statement on the financial policy related to this particular tournament. But of course, that limits it.
I'm not sure he was proactive. We kept
No.
demanding it.
He came under 72. Weeks. It wasn't a question. That's what I mean.
After weeks. Okay.
It wasn't
a
question.
Yeah, not a question.
Now, what I'm saying is that there are many other avenues. Members of Parliament, like Sami, in fact, like myself and all others, can file questions, urgent questions or normal questions, demanding the further and better particulars, some of which are being raised here. Interesting analysis and numbers being put here that there were some payments made outside this, etc., etc. I think that beyond, for example, what my very good friend Gary and his team want to do by making a petition, I don't know where they want to take that petition. There are also avenues where members can ask questions. The Select Committee on Sports itself, which is, got a chairman and very honorable members of Parliament, can invite the ministry. And nobody is stopped from carrying such proceedings, whether it's live on television or whatever, and request to get a further and better breakdown of the numbers there, so that clarity is provided on some of these matters, and it informs future policy discourse. Some of these things, especially when it comes to sports, will not be resolved by just one event here and there, because Ghanaians, as we're very tied to our sports today. Depending on who is in power, makes different considerations when it comes to our sports, and once the the tables flip, the considerations also look the other way. So I think for me, we can do a lot better in advancing our cause to get the further and better particulars, and we should adopt those channels. Those who are MPs ask the questions in Parliament, file the urgent questions and the standard questions. The committee itself can invoke its powers and invite the minister and request for some of. From here, my committee has called us in Koforidua to come and answer questions on the Right to Information Act. So I'm going to Koforidua from here. The committee is invoking its powers of supervision, and I think that same can be done so that we have more details on some of these matters. As it now,
just a little one.
Yeah.
On the issue of Parliament, what I'm asking Parliament to do is to stop something that has been done.
But you see, Randy, there I slightly disagree.
Yeah.
The budget of the ministry is brought to Parliament.
Yes.
Parliament approves the budget and the activities that the ministry says it will undertake.
Right.
There are two windows that allow the ministry to spend outside what has even been approved.
Right.
One, if the funding is not coming from Parliament.
Yes.
Parliament cannot therefore get into that matter.
Yes.
And two, even if the funding is coming from the capitation grant, but it is on unplanned, unbudgeted expense item, a contingency item. Of course, the Constitution has provisions on how those ones can be handled.
Yes.
But even for that one, you might as well...
You mean consolidated fund?
Yes.
Not capitation grant?
No. Consolidated fund. If I say capitation, please forgive me. So you might as well go to Parliament and get approval for X. Go and spend X plus 2. And then subsequently come back and say, well, these were the reasons for which we exceeded and went into contingency.
Okay.
Etc. So there I slightly disagree. But the principle...
How then does this conform to, say, GIFMIS?
GIFMIS is only an accounting system.
Yes.
The question you're asking is, how does this conform to the Public Financial Management Act?
Yes.
And the Public Financial Management Act will put a structure around you, but will give you room that when you have those exigent conditions, you can make some excesses, but you have to regularize it.
Okay, so Honorable Kojoba supports your point, and these are people within the sports fraternity, supports your point that once the minister's budget takes care of the broad, budgetary allocation, that's what it ought to be. But the question is, if there are no any prior checks, for example, is it sound, as people are raising, that the AFCON budget alone is taking as much as 79% of the entire budget for the ministry?
Those are policy questions. Those are policy questions that you would want to ask the one who frames the policy, that why do you choose that for all sports and sports development, you spend 70 or 75% of the sports budget on a particular type of sports or
right.
Then I'm sure they'll tell you that, listen, it's because football is the passion of the nation and it's the kind of sport within the bigger bracket of sports that Ghanaians are so passionate and excited about. But those are policy questions. For me, the substantive issue is this. Yes, we need some more transparency in building our democracy, especially when it comes to accountability on matters like this. But there are avenues and there are forums. While I may even disagree on prior scrutiny of some of these matters, beyond what the budget statement has done, I agree that the committee, members of Parliament, even persons who want to petition other third parties can ask for better and further particulars and further informed policy.
Kuku, we have seen the budget by other countries, including Kenya, and you can see very modest spending. Modest spending, not up to less than,
$2 million.
Yes, that they are spending. And why can't we do the same?
Well. I saw that somewhere. I don't know if it's authentic. How do we verify that?
Yes,
I saw it.
Granted,
no, I will not
granted it is.
I won't waste time on that. We haven't checked with those governments or countries and their appropriate institutions who are in charge of those things. We just seen something, somebody's put something out there, and everybody is chasing it. I won't chase it.
It's
Okay,
like
I'm
the
sorry.
12 projects of David Ajayi. Put it out there, everybody's following it.
See,
anyway,
when it comes to football matters, Randy Abe is one of the people I defer to. I won't debate, I will not contest. And I'm not going to do that today. But I think out there, and I'm not referencing Randy, out there is what we see. It's premature ejaculation. It's too early. See, we are told the minister went to Parliament not to answer a question. Of course, there had been proud request for those things to be done, even before they went to the tournament. And I remember on this program, it came up slightly, and I said in principle, I want transparency, so I would want the budget published. But we've been educated here. The standing order, he went under 72. I have the Hansard, a draft Hansard here. I've seen what everybody said. Indeed, there was a gentleman, the one who spoke after him, Mr. Kofi, is it Ochre? No. Somebody spoke after him. After the minister. He was trying to audit.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's his name. Ochre Ajekumo or something. He tried, and the speaker redirected him that we are dealing with standing order 72. So you can't do that. And in any case, even your request, the audit process which will be done eventually is not mutually exclusive with this one. But this is what Parliament is starting with. So let the man give us the details. This is what he's put there. It's subject to verification and auditing. Everything is put here. In fact, the minister himself indicated that this is like virtually an interim report, and that he would have to submit a final, a more comprehensive report to the House. Am I right?
But why should he be allowed?
No, he said he will let the normalization committee.
Yes.
Yeah, he was talking about the tournament.
But why should he be allowed to be saying that when we have a record of him?
Oh, I'll come there.
Scrutinizing and insisting that this is the wrong way.
That was a good exercise by Randy. If I had done it, people would say equalizer, Mr. Equalizer. But that was a fantastic thing. I keep saying recollection of history, especially with relevance, it's important. It is how to move this country forward in many ways. So I have no problem with that. Indeed, I was reading the same Hansard. At the time, he was saying that what the other side were saying, and today what they are saying, it was a fantastic exercise of recollection Randy did. And all those ministers, MPs and things should always know that people will go back and recollect the things they see. But the key point I am making is that at this stage, really nothing has gone amiss. Because whatever has gone amiss is discoverable through the appropriate auditing processes. Okay, the normalization committee, did they talk? Because they were supposed to have made a
so the Kenyan figure is correct. I don't know which other official sites.
I'm not sure you should waste your time on this.
Yeah, it's correct.
You see, there are about 8 countries. I've seen the list. You sent it to us, your research
Yes, I received this too.
But
the normalization committee was expected to send a report to the Parliamentary committee.
As I stated earlier, a detailed tournament report is to be provided by the normalization committee by 26 July 2019, after which major recommendation. Okay, so they were not to make a public...
No, to the committee.
I got it wrong.
And that will not include the accounts, because the normalization committee was not responsible for that.
Yes, but the ministry was certainly...
Yeah, that's why the minister took this.
Yes, but Randy, these figures and account, it's very preliminary. You know that. It will be subjected to verification.
To
auditing.
I get the point you're making. My point is that when the minister is going to address Parliament, and he goes there and he makes emphatic statements, and he gives a certain breakdown. For example, if you look at what he claims was paid the players.
Yes,
he omits, the figures just don't add up.
Yeah, but is that not why we have verification and auditing?
Yeah, but
that's what we have.
But it doesn't prevent us from pointing it out.
No problem. That's why, you see, when it's people like you who know football are talking, I defer. But out there, it's not just Randy Abbey talking.
Right.
So many things are being said and done, like was done previously. And I'm saying that when it comes to verification and auditing, we know the appropriate bodies that will do it. Look, indeed, Parliament still has the opportunity even to pose a question. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. There's the possibility of a member of Parliament putting up a question for the minister to come back.
An urgent question.
An urgent question.
Go through the.
That is why I'm saying that there's
or a half-hour motion.
That's right.
Several options.
There's several options. So really, it's too early for the kind of noise going out there. To be honest with you, if you didn't like what was done to somebody previously, then you also be careful how you're going to go about it today. That's my view. Okay.
But do you really think, as a nation, we can afford this?
Look, I'm a football fanatic, soccerholic. I don't give a damn. Oh, jeez. Be careful.
Okay, that's not radio friendly. And
I am apologizing.
Yeah, that's okay.
Please. Well, people, this is a disaster. I'm sorry.
There are many others who would say that without being prompted.
It's embarrassing.
By themselves.
My kids are watching, actually.
Thank you. Yeah.
With their mothers.
It's
I'll be in trouble today.
Okay.
But you see, the point I'm making is that for me, the state investing in sports, especially football, I have no difficulty with. Even though if I read the Hansard and other things, people are asking for private sector to be brought on board in order to complement what the state does. I have no problem at all with
Among
that.
other reasons, that is the biggest platform to advertise the country.
Yes, so I have no problem with that in principle. It's the transparency and accountability
Okay.
that we should focus on, whether the monies we are giving to them are being properly applied.
Okay.
And of course, we pray and hope that they will bring success. Because you see, sometimes when there's success, people don't even ask for accountability. It's like the political parties and their campaigns.
Okay.
When they win elections, nobody asks where the money went. It's when they lose that people wonder whether you didn't chop or you chopped. You get a point. So to be honest with you, I think it's too early. We should wait. I will encourage a member of Parliament to ask the question, bring the minister back so that some of these outstanding issues that we are raising can be dealt with. Subsequently, the Ministry of Youth and Sports accounting processes must go to the Auditor General for it to be audited. The Auditor General's report will come back to Parliament and the Public Accounts Committee. It will be examined. So really, it's too early, to be honest with you.
Okay.
And something, it's interesting that page 68 of the General Commission report makes the point Randy is been making about Parliament. It says that the Commission is of the view that the constitutional framework that governs the three arms of states allocates the legislative arm of government dual role of A, putting a seal of approval to the executive's budget to fund activities of state, including sports, B, carrying out a watchdog role in respect of the activities of the executive. Accordingly, the Ministry of Youth and Sports should cooperate with the particular subcommittee on youth, culture and sports in the fulfillment of the committee's constitutionally mandated
but this budget, role. It came from the contingency vote. This budget, that's where it came from.
That's why I was alluding
for the
to the
AFCON.
that.
Yes, for AFCON.
That's why I was alluding to the fact that it's not everything that you would say is necessarily in breach of appropriation.
Exactly. Okay. So there should be institutionalized a regular briefing session between the Ministry of Youth and Sports and the Parliamentary Subcommittee within the rules of the standing orders. A small point to make about, you see, these issues of tickets, inviting groups to these tournaments. I'm beginning to get the impression, and Randy, you are the expert, that the Ministry of Youth and Sports is now using this opportunity to, as it were, buy silence and, you know, I mean, no. Do you know that? No. Do you know? No. Do you know that, Randy?
Don't believe me.
Randy, do you know that? Do you know that the minority caucus was offered the opportunity to go watch the team? We have to say that no, we didn't think that in principle it's a good idea. That just
are you suggesting no MP?
No, so it was just.
I saw the ranking member.
So we said that. We said the youth and sports.
But that's important information you should disclose.
So we said the youth and sports committee should go.
Yeah, so it comprises members of the minority.
So we declined.
Because somebody sent me a text to ask you whether you were not offered a slot each.
Yes,
and whether you utilized it or not.
No, we declined. We were offered and we declined. And
it's the same.
It's the same thing.
To bring somebody.
Gary is complaining about, you know, colleagues in the media fraternity who, because have gone quiet. You know, if we had also accepted it, I'm sure that many may not have found their voices. No, I'm saying we said that the Youth and Sports Committee.
But they are members of the party.
Yes, that one is a long-standing practice. Yes. But this time,
each MP.
This time, a new trend was emerging.
Is it true that each MP
all right, gentlemen,
was given a slot one?
But we declined it. Yes, that's the point I'm making.
Okay, this is where we draw the curtains on this particular subject matter, and we take a break. When we return, we will be asking whether or not the police has, in fact, cleared or exonerated Mr. Bisu on the Anas Galamsey fraud investigations or expose. And why is Martin Amidu so worried about the development? We'll be right back. We have some 30 extra minutes to exhaust that issue as much as we can. We'll be right back.